Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about peace lily problems, the 6th most common mistake people make and how to fix them. If your peace lily has yellow leaves, brown tips or just won't bloom, don't worry because you're not alone. In this video I'll show you what's going wrong and how to get your plant back to looking its best. Peace lilies are one of the most popular houseplants, and that's for a good reason. They have beautiful green leaves, elegant white flowers, and they're pretty easy to care for. But even though they don't need much, they still have specific needs that often get overlooked. Now let's start with the first mistake, which is incorrect watering. Peace lilies are pretty forgiving, but when it comes to watering, both overwatering and underwatering can cause problems. If the leaves look wilted, your first thought might be that it's thirsty, and sometimes that's true. But watering too much can also cause drooping leaves, which makes it tricky to tell the difference. That's why it's always best to check the soil before watering. Stick your finger about an inch or two into the soil, and if it feels dry, it's time to water. But if it's still damp, wait a few more days. Peace lilies like their soil to dry out slightly between waterings. Keeping the soil too wet can lead to root rot, which is one of the biggest threats for this plant. Yellowing leaves are often a sign that it's getting too much water, while crispy brown edges can mean it's too dry. Another key thing to remember is never let your peace lily sit in standing water. Always empty the saucer under the pot to prevent the roots from staying too wet. So the key is finding the right balance. Don't let it sit in soggy soil, but also don't let it dry out completely for too long. The second common mistake is using tap water. You might think that water is just water, but for peace lilies, not all water is the same. If you have noticed brown tips on the leaves, even though you're watering correctly, your tap water might be the problem. Most tap water contains chemicals like chlorine, fluoride, and even salts, which can build up in the soil over time and cause leaf damage. These plants are especially sensitive to these additives, and they often show their stress through crispy brown leaf edges. I suggest to switch to filtered, distilled or rainwater whenever possible. If you can't avoid tap water, let it sit out for at least 24 hours before using it. This allows some of the chlorine to evaporate. If your peace lily already has brown tips, then you can trim off the damaged part and start using better quality water. Over time, you will see healthier, greener leaves. Another common mistake is ignoring temperature and humidity. Peace lilies might seem easygoing, but they're actually quite sensitive to changes in their environment. If the leaves are wilting, turning brown at the edges, or the plant just isn't growing well, it could be struggling with dry air or sudden temperature shifts. Since peace lilies are tropical plants, they thrive in warm, humid conditions. But most homes, especially in winter, have dry air and temperatures that can stress the plant. One of the biggest mistakes is placing a peace lily near heating vents, air conditioners or drafty windows. This can dry out leaves or cause sudden temperature drops, leading to stress. The best way to prevent this is to keep the plant in a room with stable temperatures between 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is just as important. If the air is too dry, the leaf edges can turn brown and crispy. To increase humidity, misting the leaves occasionally can help, but not too much. Another great way to improve humidity is by giving the plant a shower once a month. A gentle rinse with lukewarm water not only boosts humidity but also washes away dust and pests, helping the leaves breathe better. Other options include placing a shallow tray of water with pebbles under the pot grouping the plant with other houseplants, or using a humidifier if the air in the home is very dry. Keeping a stable, warm environment with good humidity will help the peace lily stay lush and healthy. Another common mistake is giving the peace lily the wrong amount of light. This plant is often labeled as low light tolerant, and while it can survive in low light, that doesn't mean it will thrive. If your peace lily isn't flowering or has slow, weak growth, it might not be getting enough light. On the other hand, if the leaves look scorched or faded, it's probably getting too much direct sunlight. These plants do best in bright, indirect light. A spot near a window with filtered sunlight is perfect. If the plant is in a darker corner, it may still grow, but it's unlikely to bloom. And if it's too close to a sunny window, especially one with harsh afternoon light, the leaves can burn and turn yellow or brown. The best way to find the right balance is to place it a few feet away from a bright window where it gets gentle indirect light. If natural light is limited, a grow light can help, especially in winter when daylight hours are shorter. Now let's talk about the wrong fertilizing routine. Peace lilies don't need a lot of fertilizer, but they still need nutrients to stay healthy and keep blooming. If your plant has weak growth, pale leaves, or isn't flowering, it might be not getting enough nutrients. But at the same time, too much fertilizer can do more harm than good, leading to burnt leaf tips, yellowing leaves, or buildup of salts in the soil. Peace lilies are also sensitive to chemicals in synthetic fertilizer, so I recommend using an organic fertilizer once a month during the growing season. This provides gentle, natural nutrition without stressing the plant. If you don't have an organic option, you can still use an all-purpose liquid fertilizer, but make sure to dilute it to half of the recommended dose to avoid fertilizer burn. The best approach is to fertilize lightly during spring and summer and stop fertilizing completely in fall and winter when the growth slows down. Giving extra nutrients when the plant doesn't need them can cause more harm than good. The last mistake that I will mention today is using the wrong soil mix or not repotting when needed. They need a well-draining soil that holds some moisture but doesn't stay soggy. If the soil is too heavy or compacted, it can suffocate the roots and lead to root rot. On the other hand, if the soil dries out too quickly, the plant will struggle to absorb water properly. The best soil mix for peace lilies is light, airy, and slightly moisture retentive. A good plant includes high-quality potting soil mixed with perlite or orchid bark to improve drainage. Adding a bit of peat moss can also help retain the right amount of moisture. Another common mistake is keeping the plant in the same pot for too long or repotting too often. Peace lilies like to be slightly root-bound, so they don't need to be repotted every year. But if the roots are circling the bottom of the pot or pushing up through the soil, it's a sign that it's time to repot. The best time to repot is in spring or early summer, using a pot one size larger than the current one. Make sure the new pot has drainage holes to prevent water from sitting at the bottom and causing root rot. Repotting every 2 to 3 years helps refresh the soil, providing better nutrients and more space for growth. But if repotting isn't needed, you can simply add fresh soil on top to refresh the nutrients without disturbing the plant. If your peace lily isn't blooming, I have a video on how to get it to flower again, and I'll leave a link in the description. So, by avoiding these 6 common mistakes, your peace lily will stay healthy, vibrant, and just as beautiful as the day you brought it home from the nursery. Peace lilies are long-living plants, and with the right care, these small issues can be easily prevented. If you have any questions or tips, I would love to hear them. We are all here to learn and improve the care of our beautiful green friends, so feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more plant care tips. Thanks for watching and happy growing!